Shalom Uvracha Morai Vabotai, Shalom Uvracha, Bezrat Hashem, the marriage of Tzaddik Rabbi Chaim Pinto, the marriage of all Tzaddikim. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu Bezrat Hashem give us an entire Kal, Bracha V'Tzlacha, and Siyata Dishmaya Gedola, Malka Dam V'Chatav V'Kata, and may today, Bezrat Hashem, be a day that we will all achieve personal redemption and redemption for all Klal Am Yisrael. Amen. Bezrat Hashem. You know, Vabotai, in this week's Parasha, we see something very interesting that can really help us, give us the strength to overcome the challenges that we are introduced with on a daily basis. We see that Moshe Rabbeinu Alav Shalom chooses 12 very, very kosher, very, very pure, very, very good people to be sent on an assignment to evaluate Eretz Israel. Rashi explains that these 12 spies that were sent were tzaddikim, kesherim ayu. They were not every ordinary person, but rather very, very pure people. Their assignment was that they was to go into Eretz Israel and to record all how Eretz Israel functions and is structured in order to create a strategy of how they would enter into the land. The spies go, they saw what they saw giants, they saw these big people, they came back to Bnei Israel. They said, you know, Bnei Israel, these people are humongous. They are cruel, they are strong, they are powerful. They are not regular people, in which we know they were Bnei Nephilim, they were the sons of the angels that fell with women. These are not people that we can fight in war. We are not an army we're not a nation of soldiers, of an army. We are just slaves that left Egypt only a few months ago. How will we be able to conquer and to fight such a nation that are not even fully human? They're half angel, half human. It's nearly impossible. We see that when Bnei Israel heard that, they were very, very sad. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished Bnei Israel with 40 years in the desert. The question that we had is the following. First of all, what was so bad about what the Meraglim did? What was so bad about what the spies reported back to Bnei Israel? What they reported was exactly what they saw. And what they saw was what Moshe Rabbeinu from the first place sent them to do. Which was what? To value the land, see who lives there, and figure out a strategy. So when they returned and they brought back their strategy, why was that so harmful that HaKadosh Baruch Hu found a reason to punish the entire nation for such an act? It seems to be that is something that is not proper. So in order to understand this, maybe we can try to understand what was really the report that these 12 tzaddikim came back with after visualizing the land. The Torah says that when they came back, they told Bnei Israel that the enemy that we are going to face when entering into Eretz Israel will be too big for us to overcome. Now we know about that Bnei Israel till this point nearly never fought any war. Nearly never needed to lift a finger to get to where they got to. But rather what? Rather had HaKadosh Baruch Hu fighting the entire way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu bringing these Ananei Kavod that fought wars for them, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tearing the sea to destroy the Egyptians. And every single step of the way, every battle that was fought and won was never a battle that they needed to fight on their own. Maybe we can say that the mistake of these spies, of these tzaddikim initially that were sent, was that they looked at a war that would be facing them in Eretz Israel. And for some silly reason, they came to the conclusion that they would be fighting on their own. And in reality, Abotai, we know what the Gemara says. Ilmale HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu was not helping us fight our evil inclination and fight our challenges, lo hayinu yicholim lo. We would never be able to overcome it. Where a person needs to understand that the power to overcome our enemies and the power to overcome the evil and the power to overcome our desires are not a power that comes from within us necessarily, but rather the power that comes from when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is within us, present within us, helping us create and do those fights. Maybe we can say that the mistake that those spies did, that they pulled out HaKadosh Baruch Hu from this equation. And they said, how will we fight these giants? How will we overcome this nation? But in reality, no one asked them to give their opinion on how they would fight, because they were never supposed to fight. It always was HaKadosh Baruch Hu's fight to do. It was always HaKadosh Baruch Hu's fight to make. And that, Abotai, is something that we all need to really bring into perspective. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Abotai, does for us miracles on a daily basis. So much good, so much bracha, so much parnasa, so many gifts that we receive in our life are gifts that are so clearly the kindness and the generosity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And sometimes we do the same mistake that those spies did. that when we are introduced with a new challenge or a new a test that we have to overcome, it's like we forget all the help that Hashem gave us till now. And we pull HaKadosh Baruch Hu out of the equation. We have to understand, Rabbatai, every fight that we want to fight, the only way we could even approach the fight or an enemy or a challenge is remembering that the real fight will not be made by us, but rather made by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's our job to sit back, to bring Hashem into our life and let HaKadosh Baruch Hu fight. Maybe we can say that is the idea of even the tzitzit. In the end of this week's parasha, we talk about the mitzvah of wearing the tzitzit. And we know the mitzvah is this idea, u'irtem otam, u'schartem b'kom mitzvotayim. When you look at the tzitzit, you remember all the mitzvot. But there is stories in the Gemara. The Gemara says that there were Tanaim, that they were fighting their inclination when some of them were women, some of them were different things. And the moment their tzitzit was seen by them, suddenly a strength arose and woke up within them that allowed them to have the strength to fight their inclination, to fight their evil inclination, to fight their challenges, to fight all what they are going through. What's the idea of the tzitzit being such a beacon of success, of power? It's just strings attached to a garment. What's so special about these regular strings that are attached to a garment? Nearly every string can be just made into tzitzit. So what is really the idea of looking at the tzitzit and suddenly receiving a strength that is above the nature? Maybe we can say that the idea of the tzitzit is not the strings and not the garment, not anything, but rather that when a person looks at the tzitzit, he remembers that he is not fighting alone. And as long as he could remember that he is not fighting alone, that as long as he will know that the fight will not be done by him, but be done by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when a person puts the fight on HaKadosh Baruch Hu and brings HaKadosh Baruch Hu within him, all his enemies fall apart. And that's what we say. Vayibin so Aaron, Vayomer Moshe. Whenever they would transfer the Aaron, when they would go out to war, they would take the tablets with them. It says that Moshe Rabbeinu was talking to Bnei Israel and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and saying, Oivecha, your enemies, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rashi asks, why your enemies? It's not Hashem's enemies, it's your enemies. Why are you telling Hashem your enemies? And maybe we can say that the idea is that Moshe Rabbeinu understood that the only way that they're even fighting a war is not that they are fighting. It's rather that they brought HaKadosh Baruch Hu so much into the equation where their enemies is no longer their enemies, but rather HaKadosh Baruch Hu's enemies. And as long as we could understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is fighting for us, and He is with us, and He's present, and His fight is our fight is His fight, we'll come to a place of always having the strength to overcome our challenges, our evil inclination, and Bezrat Hashem leave with our fist high with great victory. Amen.